I built a dream app of every content creator that automatically generates engaging YouTube shorts using just Lovable N8N. All you have to do is give it a link to a video, specify the amount of editing you would want, and select the social media platforms you would want to post it on. Then the app takes care of the rest. It analyzes the video, selects the most engaging parts, and turns them into engaging YouTube shorts using Submagic, a third-party API that allows you to turn plain videos into engaging shorts with attention-grabbing captions and relevant B-roll clips. After that, it goes and automatically posts them in all the social media platforms that you selected. The best part, you can sell this app to content creators for thousands of dollars each, since it will save them massive amounts of time editing and publishing all of these videos themselves. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can build this app, step by step. So let's get started. Now the first thing we have to do is to build the front-end interface of our app, and we're going to do that with an app like Lovable, which will allow us to create it just by typing a simple prompt in this interface. So I will come over here and type, I want to build a shorts generator app. The user should be able to give a link to the video he wants to turn into shorts, then specify the editing percentage he wants from 0 to 100, and then select all the social media platforms he wants to post it on. And these platforms are going to be Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, and LinkedIn. And once he does that, the app is going to create the shorts and post them on social media. But don't build any of the backend functions of it. I will build them in N8N. And specifically tell Lovable guys to don't go and try to build any of the backend functions, because we're going to use N8N to build those, simply because Lovable is unable to build all of these functions. And then I say, you just focus on building a nice looking front-end UI. It needs to be modern with nice sharp colors, just like this example. And now what I will do, guys, is I will come over to Google and search for nice looking UI, simply find one that I like. Let's say I really like this one, for example, and all I will do is come over here and download it, come back over to Lovable, click on attach file, upload the UI I just downloaded, and then I will come over here and click on enter. This way, Lovable also has a visual example of exactly how we want the app to look like, making it way more likely to give us a good end result. But while Lovable is building the front-end interface of our app, let's go over to N8N and start building the backend. So I created a brand new N8N workflow, and the first thing that we have to do is to come over here and add in our trigger, which is going to be a webhook. And the reason we're choosing a webhook and not any other trigger, guys, is because a webhook allows us to connect the front-end interface we're building right now in Lovable with a backend automation we're going to build over in N8N. Now you can see there are a bunch of settings over here, but the only change we need to make to the settings is to come over here in the HTTP method, change it from get over to post, since we're going to be sending a post request over to Lovable in order for us to be able to send and receive data. So now I'll simply come and click on top of this link to copy it in my clipboard, and boom, guys, as you can see, Lovable also finished making the changes, and I do gotta admit this interface does look very good, and that's because we also gave it a visual example of exactly how we want the app to look like. But remember, what we're here for is to take our webhook URL and embed it inside the app. So to do that, I will come over here in the text box and type, make sure you send all the data over to this webhook URL, and then I will simply come over here and paste in the webhook URL just copied. But then I will also say, send it as separate schemas and not in a big block of text. And then I will simply come over here and click on enter. And the reason I said that, guys, is because we don't want it to send all of this data in a big block of text, which is going to make it basically unusable. We want to receive this data in N8N in separate schema, so then we will be able to take its schema and drag and drop it in order for us to be able to use it. And boom, Lovable just finished making the changes, and now it's time to actually go and test them. So as you can see, the first thing we need to fill in is the video URL, for which let's say we have a bunch of videos in our Google Drive, since that is how actually most creators work. And let's say we want to turn one of those, let's take this Imargazi podcast for example, and turn it into an engaging short. All we would have to do is to come over here in the share parameter, click on share, then we need to make sure anyone with a link can access this video, and let's also turn it into editor, and then all we have to do is to copy the link and click on done. And now we will simply come over here and paste in that link. Then the next thing that we need to configure is the editing intensity, where we're basically telling our app how much editing we want our short to have. Do we want a lot of editing with a lot of B-roll, or do we want it to be very minimal? Well, for this example, I will leave it somewhere over here in the middle, just so we can see the results, and then we need to select in which social media platforms we want to post it on. For this example, I'll simply select all of them, so you can see how we can post it on all of them, but of course over here you just select the ones that you actually want to post it on. But then before you come over here and you click on generate shorts, you need to come back over to N8N and click on listen for test event. This way our webhook actually expects to receive data, and then come back over to N8N and click on generate shorts, and boom, as you can see the request was successfully. And if I come back over to N8N, we can see that we do in fact have an output over here, which means that we successfully managed to connect the front-end interface we built with Lovable with the backend automation we're going to build over in N8N. So let me actually come and pin this data, so if something goes wrong I do not have to rerun this. And if I actually scroll down here, guys, we will be able to see the exact video URL I gave over in our Lovable interface, along with all the social media platforms we want to post on, and also the editing percentage we want to have. So now that we have all of the data inside N8N, it's time to go and we start building our automation. Now the first thing that we have to do is to obviously generate the source. Now to do that, we're going to have to come over here, click on the plus icon, and we're going to search for an HTTP request. And the reason we're going to use an HTTP request is because to generate the source, we're going to have to use a third-party API, which is basically going to do all the heavy lifting for us. And that third-party API is going to be Submagic, which is an app that allows you to create viral shorts with AI. So I will leave a link for them in the description below, and make sure you go and sign up to it so you can also follow along with the video. Now the first thing that we have to do is to obviously come over here and create our account. And this is going to bring us over in this interface over here. Now as you can see, they do offer a lot of options, guys. From inside this interface, you can come over here and generate captions for any one of your videos. You can also come over here and combine multiple clips inside one video, and also they have the get magic clips, which is the function that we're going to use in this video, which basically allows us to find the most engaging parts of our video, then go and create captions for them, and also add in relevant b-roll completely on autopilot, because Submagic is going to do all this work for us. All we have to do is to simply give it a link to our video, and that's why Submagic is such an amazing tool. And as you can see over here, I have played around with it quite a bit, and I have generated some shorts from different videos. But in order for us to be able to generate shorts from inside N8N, we're not going to use this interface of Submagic, because we have to use the API. So to use their API, you have to go over to Submagic/API, and then come over here and click on documentation. Do not worry, guys, I will leave a link for this in the description below as well. And what this does is it opens up Submagic API docs. Now do not get intimidated by this, guys. This is actually super simple to navigate. All you have to do is to come over here in the API reference and navigate over to the create project tab. And what this does, it shows us all of the different options. The first thing that we have to do is to come over here and make sure this is on CURL, and then all we have to do is to simply come and click on copy to copy all the snippet of code in our clipboard. And then we're going to come back over to N8N and we're going to click on import CURL, and then we'll simply paste in the snippet of code we just copied. And if I come over here and click on import, you can see that this basically populates the vast majority of the settings for us automatically, so we have to do very minimal changes. And that's why using the CURL saves us so much time. Now the first thing that we need to configure, over here we need to input our API key. Now to find our API key, we have to come back over to Submagic's interface, and then we have to come over here and click on our profile on the top left corner, and then we have to come over here and select account settings. And now we simply need to navigate over here in the API tab, and you simply click on generate key. I will regenerate mine since I have already generated one, and boom, this is my brand new API key. All I have to do is to simply come over here and copy it, and then I will come back over to N8N, and over here in the header parameters I will simply delete the previous fake value that exists over here, and I will simply paste in my API key. So now we have successfully authenticated ourselves over to Submagic, so they know which person is using the service. Now what we have to do is to scroll down here and configure all of the JSON parameters. Now this is the point where everyone starts to lose their mind. Oh my god, Damien, this is code, I don't know how to code. Well, do not worry, guys, you will not have to write any code yourself. This is actually super simple. Let's first turn this into an expression and open this up so you guys can take a better look at it. And as you can see over here, we have a bunch of different parameters, and the first one is the video URL, which has a fake URL over here. But of course, what should we put inside this parameter? Well, of course, it should be the video URL we uploaded over in our Lovable interface, which is over here in our webhook. So I will simply come over here, delete this fake URL, and I will take in our URL and simply drag and drop it inside this code over here. So now Submagic has access to the URL that we want to turn into a short. Then over here in the template name, we can see that it says Chromosi 2. Now if you don't know what this actually means, all you have to do is to come back over here in the docs, simply scroll down till you find the specific parameter you don't know what it is. Let's say for our example, we don't know what the template name is, we can see it over here, and then underneath it basically has a full explanation of exactly what it is. It tells us that it's basically the styling that we're going to apply over in our short. And over here, if we click on template endpoints, this is basically navigates us over in this section where we can see all the available templates. So we can choose basically from all of those. And if you're wondering, these are actually all the available styles visible over here. And you can see that I basically have all the visual styles from all the big creators, which is actually a super useful feature, guys. Simply because if someone is familiar with a creator and his particular style, and he sees the same style in your video as well, he's more likely to see it and watch the video, simply because something in your video seems familiar to him. That's why this is actually such a cheat code to increase the viewer retention of your videos. And you can obviously come over here and select any style you want. I personally really tend to like the Hormozy 2 style. If we come back over to the docs, we can see that it's typed Hormozy 2, exactly as it's typed over here. And if we come baback over to N8N, we will just leave this on Hormozy 2 since this is the default style every video has. Now if you want to change this, obviously you can come over here, turn this into Hormozy 3, Hormozy 4 or whatever style you want. But I will personally go with the Hormozy 2 style. Then over here we have the webhook URL, which we don't actually need to configure since we're going to get the data with an HTTP request and not with a webhook, so we can just leave it exactly as it is. And then over here we have the magic zooms, and then over here we have a bunch of other parameters that we can either have true or false, which are the magic zooms and the magic b-rolls. What you're defining basically over here is, do you want your short to automatically zoom in, and do you want to have b-roll inside it, or do you just want to be the short of the podcast that you're trying to turn into a short? I will leave both of them on true since they really do improve the quality of your video, and I will suggest you to do exactly the same. Then over here in the magic b-roll percentage, if you remember, over here on our webhook we have the editing percentage, which is basically the same thing. It's how much we want to have zooms and b-rolls in our video. So I'll simply delete this fake percentage, and I will take in the percentage that we defined in our Lovable interface and drag and drop it over here. So now Submagic also has access to that. All we have to do is to simply come and close this off, and then we can come over here and execute the step. And boom, as you can see, it was executed successfully, which means that we have sent a request over to Submagic to start generating a source for us. So now we'll come over here and pin this data because I don't want to have to rerun this if something goes wrong. And then what we have to do is to come over here, click on the plus icon and simply wait till our video is done generating. Simply because our video is not going to be generated immediately, obviously, it's going to take some time, so we need to make sure we wait till it is done. And just as a rule of thumb, I would say that if you come over here and you put this around 3 to 4 minutes, I will put this at 4 for this example, it will be more than good enough to go and your video will be done generating. So after the time has passed, what you have to do is to retrieve the video back in your N8N interface. So to do that, we have to come over here, click on the plus icon again, and we're going to search for another HTTP request. But this time we're not going to send the request over to Submagic to generate the video, we're going to get the already generated video back in our N8N interface. So to do that, we have to come back over to Submagic's docs, and then we have to come over here and navigate over to get project. And this opens up the docs over here. Again, the only thing we have to do is to come over here in the CURL and simply copy it, and then we're going to come back over to N8N, click on import CURL and simply paste it in over here. And we're gonna come over here, click on import, and boom, again this populates the vast majority of the settings for us automatically, so we don't have to make a lot of changes. Now we still do need to make some changes, and one of the changes we need to make is to authenticate ourselves. And if you remember, over here we need to input our API key, which I actually have in this HTTP request over here. I will open this up and I will simply copy my API key from here, and then I will open this up again. I will come over here and I will simply paste in my API key. And now the only other thing we need to configure is to come over here in the URL, turn this into an expression, open this up, and now what we need to do is to simply come over here and delete this number at the end of the URL. And why are we deleting this number? Well, that is simply because we have an ID over here, which is the number of our specific request. So all we have to do is to take in the schema of this ID and drag and drop it over here. So now if we actually close this off and we actually come over here and we execute the step, we can see that it is still processing right now, and that is because I actually did not wait the full 4 minutes, and I did this deliberately to show you what would happen if the video is still processing. because if it is still processing, the workflow is basically going to end over here and we're not going to be able to go and upload it over to social media. So to circumvent that, we need to come over here, click on the plus icon, and we're going to search for an if node, which what an if node does is it basically enables us to check for a very specific function. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, take the status and drag and drop it over here, and we're going to say if status is actually equal to as a string, and then in the value number 2, let's take in the processing exactly as it is typed over here, and we'll simply copy and paste it over here. So if we actually execute this, we'll see that this right now is true, which means that the video is still processing and has not yet been generated. So if that is actually true, we'll simply take this branch and bring it all the way back over to the wait node, which what this will do is it will basically wait again and then recheck after the time frame if the video is done generating, and then this is going to go back in the if node and recheck again. If this time the status over here is not processing, this is going to go over here in the false branch, which will mean that our video is done generating and we can move on with the rest of our automation. And boom, I just rerun it, and as you can see, the status right now is completed, which means that our video has successfully been generated. So now what we have to do is to basically take in our generated video and upload it over to social media. So to do that, we have to click off of here and we have to come over here on the false branch and continue on with our automation. Now the first thing that we have to do is to come over here, search for an HTTP request, but with this HTTP request we're not going to send over a request over to a third-party API. If I execute the previous nodes, we basically will need to download the video we just generated, simply because the video right now it's uploaded over to the web, but in order for us to be able to take it and upload it over to our social media, first we need to download it over to N8N. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll simply leave this on get, and then we'll take in the download URL we have over here, simply drag and drop it over here. And now if I come and click on execute step, we can see that we successfully managed to download our video. And now just to show you the video, I can come over here and copy this link, open up a brand new page, and simply paste it in over here.
This circle that you have, okay? We're all super different. And obviously for you, your circle's a bit interesting because it's your employees, but it's also your close friends. And we are all so different individually. What's the one thing that you get attracted to in a person?
I'd say for me, loyalty.
Alright guys, I do got to admit this does look very good, but now let's get back over to N8N and upload this over in all of our social media. And now we come back over to N8N where we have successfully downloaded this video that we just saw. We can simply come close this off, and now what we need to do is to actually go and upload it over in all of our social media. So to do that, we have to come over here, click on the plus icon, and we're going to search for a switch node. And the reason we're searching for a switch node is because we want to take multiple different values at once. And just to see how we're going to do this, I will close off my HTTP request over here and I will open up my webhook. And if I scroll down here, we can see that we basically have all of the platforms that we want to upload our video to. And now to check whether we need to upload it over to Instagram, all we have to do is to simply take in the schema, drag and drop it inside here, and then we have to say is equal to, and then we'll simply take in the name of this value and simply paste it in over here. So we're going to say if the platform selected is equal to Instagram, which means that we did select the Instagram option in the Lovable interface. And now we need to come over here, click on the plus icon, and we're going to search for an if node, which we're going to use to check whether we want to upload the video to each one of the platforms. And to check that, we need to come over here, open up a webhook, and if we scroll down here, we can see that we basically have all the platforms over here. So how we're going to be able to check that is we're going to take the first schema, for example, which is for Instagram, and we'll drag and drop it over here, and we're going to say if this is equal to, and then we'll simply copy the Instagram name exactly as it is over here, and we will simply paste it in over here, and I execute the step. You will see that this is basically true, which means that we do want to upload this video over to Instagram. If this value over here did not say Instagram, it would be completely empty, which would mean that this wouldn't equal Instagram and it would turn out in the false branch and we wouldn't upload this video over to Instagram. So that's how basically the logic of it works. And now all we have to do is to simply add in 5 if nodes for all of the 5 platforms. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I will come over here and search for another if node, and I will again come over here in my schema, open up my webhook, scroll down here to where I can see each one of the platforms, and then we're going to do the exact same thing with YouTube. So I will simply take in the YouTube name over here and paste it over here, and I will simply bring this over here and connect it over in the HTTP request, and we have to do the exact same thing for the other 3. I'll simply copy the if node, paste it in over here, then I will open it up, then I will connect it over here, I will open it up, and again we have to do basically the exact same thing, but this time we're going to do it for TikTok. So I will come over here, delete this, taking the TikTok schema, drag and drop it over here, and then in the name we'll simply type in TikTok, because again, if this does not say TikTok, this will mean that it is false and we will not go and upload over the video. So we basically have to do exactly the same thing for the other two platforms as well. So I will come over here and connect it. I will also paste in the fifth if node over here, and I will also connect this. And now we'll simply open this up. Again, we have to come back over to our webhook. I know this is a little bit of a repetitive task, guys, but it needs to be done. So I will come over here, taking the schema, and I will come over here, type in next, exactly as it is typed over here. Then the fifth and final one, we simply open it up, we come back over here in our webhook, we scroll down here to where we find the last schema, which is LinkedIn, and we simply take in that schema, drag and drop it over here, and then we take in that name, copy, and paste it over here, and now we're done. So now that we configured all of those if nodes, what we know is the exact platforms that we want to post our video to, and now what's left is to actually go and post it over in these platforms. And how we're going to do that, guys, is by coming over here, clicking on the plus node, and we're going to have to search for upload post. And what upload post is a community node that basically allows you to post in all of your social media very easily, because if we do not use a community node, we'll have to do a billion like authentications, and it's honestly a mess. Like, upload post makes it way easier for us to post any video in our social media. But I do got to preface this is a community node, so make sure you actually enable community nodes, and then you will be able to come over here and search for it. And if it is your first time using it, you will see a button over here that says install, so make sure you click on it and you install it, and then you will be able to use it normally. So now that we selected this node, what we have to do is to come over here and select upload video, since that is what we want to do. And then what we have to do is to come over here and select our credentials. Now if you do not have credentials, what you have to do is click on create new credential, and then you need to enter your API key over here. Now to find your API key, you need to go over to uploadpost.com and create a free account, and after you created your account, you will be brought over in this interface where you will have to come over here and click on go to manage users. This is going to bring you over in this tab, where if you scroll down here, you will be able to see all the platforms that you can connect to. And as you can see, I have connected my Instagram, my LinkedIn, I will connect my YouTube right now, my Facebook, my X, etc. All you have to do to connect it is simply click on it, and then just simply click on allow access. It's that simple, guys. And after you created your account, you need to come over here and navigate over to API keys, and then over here you will be able to see your API key. All you have to do is to come over here and copy it, and then come back over to N8N, simply paste it in over here and click on save. And boom, right now you will be able to select your upload post credentials. Now on operation, you leave this on video. On user identifier, what you need to do is to come over here to the manage users tab and simply scroll all the way down here, where you will also be able to see all the platforms you can connect to. As you can see, I have connected in a bunch. I have connected in Instagram, LinkedIn, I will connect in YouTube right now, also Facebook and X, and over here TikTok. And what you need to do is to come over here to where you say profile and simply copy this name exactly as it is over here, and then come back over to N8N and simply paste it in over here. So now that you have done that, then you can come over here in the platform and simply select the platform you want to post it on. And since this is actually the first one that we're going to use, and it's going to be for Instagram, we have to connect it over in this if node over here, and then we have to come over here and select Instagram. And this opens up all of these options. Over here you can input a title if you want. Let me say Iman Gadzi, for example, and then over here we need to fill in the video URL. So all we have to do is to switch over to the binary file that we have over here and see how it is named. Since it is named data, we'll simply copy this name and paste it in exactly as it is over here. And then there are a bunch of other options you can fill in as well if you want, but I will simply choose to not do for this video. Now I also do want to preface this. If you want, you can also specify the title and the caption of your video in your Lovable interface, so you can have them basically as schemas and drag and drop them over here. But for this example, I didn't do it. Obviously, if you create this app from the start, you can create a section over to Lovable where you can specify the title. But just to show you that this actually works, if I come over here and I execute the step, we can see that it did successfully manage to upload this video over to Instagram. And if I come back over in my Instagram profile over here, you can see that the video has been successfully uploaded. And I can actually open this app and I can see that this is indeed a legit video. And now if we come back over to N8N, we basically have to do the exact same thing with all the other platforms as well. So I'll simply come over here and connect it, and I will open it up again. But this time I will change this from Instagram over to YouTube. And I will basically leave all the other options exactly the same. Then I will do the exact same thing over here with TikTok. I will simply come close this off and I will select TikTok. And then I will do the exact same thing over here with X. I will simply come over here and connect it. And I will simply change this over to X. And then I will finally do the exact same thing with LinkedIn. I will simply come, close this off, open this up and select LinkedIn. And now if we execute all of those, our video is going to be uploaded over in all of our social media, which means that we successfully managed to generate a very engaging short and upload it over to social media. But now if you want to have authentication of your app, because a lot of people did ask me how they can do that in a previous video that I did, what you can do is come back over here to Lovable and click on the Supabase icon, and then you will have to come over here, click on connect to Supabase, and then you will have to come over here, click on connect a project, and then simply come over here and create a brand new project. Then you basically spam click on next, and then you will have an actual authentication section in your app as well. Now I do want to say a very big thank you to Submagic for sponsoring this video, and again I will leave a link for them in the description below, so make sure you click on it and you go and check them out, since I personally have found no other AI short generator app that is able to create these high quality shorts with relevant b-roll, captions, while offering this much customization. And guys, this is an app that you can very realistically sell to content creators for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, simply because it will save them so much time and even money of having to hire expensive video editors to do all of this work for them. And if you want a template for this full automation, along with every automation I have built in my channel, you can also click the link in the description and come and join my school community, where I basically have a full section over here where I have the JSON files for all the automations that I have built in my channel, including this one that we built in this video, along with many more content on exactly how you can sell automations like this. So make sure you check the description below. But now YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this video, where I built a similar app using Submagic inside N8N. So make sure you go and watch that next, and I will see you over there.